Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
Days.
Always queer.
Oh my gosh, Meaghan, things are so busy. We just have a lot going on right now.
We really do. I can't believe that summer for a lot of people, I don't have children, but summer for a lot of people is ending
I
soon.
know.
I know by the time this comes out, I know some people are already starting
Yeah.
this week, next week, which is pretty strange because when we were going, it was like at the end of August, maybe beginning of September. So I think like this summer has just been one thing after another. I can definitely feel the tension from everybody. It's hot, things are busy, there's chaos, so we're making it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how's everything going in the new job sphere?
It is going. The new job is going great. I kind of start the new hire stuff this week actually. And that's exciting. But I just did all the paperwork and everything. And
Mm,
it's exciting when you get a grown up job. That's what I call them, grown up jobs. Like I'm not a grown up that's
yeah.
been working. But one of the big motivators I think for me going back into this full time space it wasn't necessarily about the fact that I enjoy this job, although I do. It was more about the fact that I needed that financial security with my money and just benefits. I needed access to better benefits.
Hmm.
And I think, I don't know, I've been thinking about this recently because, I'm signing up for all the stuff, right? So I don't know, I think that's the reality for a lot of folks is we're looking, especially with this economy, like, yeah, we're looking for jobs that we are going to enjoy doing, but we're also looking for jobs that will keep us feeling somewhat secure financially because I think we've talked about this before. Like life has been lifing
Hmm.
and it is looking for ways to spend money that I do not have.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Going from unemployed to job to hustling and just trying to get money on the side, I've really found like I've been paying cash for everything, right? So
Mm-hmm.
cash for my doctor's appointments, for my prescriptions, for my, just here and there costs. And going from job to job, I definitely see a difference of, who offers what, how much they're offering,
Mm-hmm.
those plans. Like if I get one type of insurance, you always hear like, well, I switched jobs, so now I don't have the same provider. And like, so, just trying to align my life with whatever I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
is also pretty stressful. But it's just like you said, going through the paperwork and, trying to read and understand what they're trying to offer me and if I can
Right.
actually take advantage of it,
Right. Or what that actually means in like everyday talk. I was going to
Yeah.
ask like when do you think that you first realized that insurance was actually kind of confusing?
Goodness. I think I had the benefit of somewhat understanding insurance because I did work in the dental field for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it doesn't really, I mean, I didn't work in the insurance industry, so I don't know all the odds and ends. I just know all the crappiness that happens on the back end, right? The things that
Mm-hmm.
we deal with because I had to deal with it with patients. And it doesn't matter who I was talking to, it doesn't matter what job they had, what their salary was, their status, whatever. Everyone always had an issue with understanding what they were getting
Mm-hmm.
and how much they were getting. And they were always pissed off at the end of it.
Right. Well, and I think honestly, just like, because I just went through the whole process of like signing up for it, right? And yes, I was trying to pick the plan that would fit my needs the most. But really, I was trying to see, okay, which one is the most affordable?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how much am I paying? Like, how much is coming off of my salary?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what a lot of people look for is like, yeah, this might be the better plan, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to take anything home.
Yep.
And then when you factor in like spouses or children, like it skyrockets. It
Yeah.
might be affordable with just you, but then when you add all those other people, but I was actually saying this the other day because I've been I've been doing some physical therapy, and I, of course, see my regular mental health therapist. And my current insurance doesn't cover the mental health piece. And they kind of cover physical therapy, but I've been paying out of pocket for a lot of this stuff. But when you're trying to figure out plans or whatever, I have no idea what if it covers it until I try to use it for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you really are like, how much do I get? What does that look like? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's confusing.
It is confusing because it's not always, the thing that you ask when
Mm-hmm.
you're doing an interview. Like especially if you're like in a crisis situation, you're literally telling yourself, I'm going to take the next thing that comes for me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even though I've done all these interviews, like the first person that offers me a decent salary and full time, I'm going to take it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, really, those thoughts of, okay, well, how's my retirement? Your options become limited because you're no longer just shopping for a salary. You're like, okay, well, then I have to factor in my retirement. Are they matching?
Yeah.
Is my insurance going to be good? And it's like, once you start adding all those variables, like, is that really realistic when you're looking for a job?
Mm-hmm.
To really
Mm-hmm.
factor all that stuff in when you need a job like next week or like yesterday.
Right. Well, and I think we're also in this age, and I've seen it even just like in conversations I've had with my parents or people in older generations for me, which is crazy because I'm a millennial. So like some of this is also kind of wired in me, but even it's different. But I think we're just in a current time where we are focused on the present. And so
Hmm.
even like the retirement conversation, I'm like, how can I even think about retiring when like you're only going to pay me, like my salary is only going to be XYZ. You're going to take this much amount out for taxes and for all that other stuff. If I did benefits, that's going to come out of my paycheck. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have maybe $500
Hmm.
for my bills, for my groceries, for all this stuff. And they're like, I don't want you to take more money to put in a savings for my retirement that I'm never going to be able to retire. Like, give me that money now, I think is what a lot of people are stressing
Hmm.
about and worried about because then they do think about retirement and they're like, I'm never going to be able to retire because I've never had the money to set aside for retirement. So
Right.
I'm going to be working until I'm 100 years old.
And in that you see that, I mean, that's a real life situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? You see a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
who just end up working until they literally can't work
Yeah.
anymore because their bodies physically can't do it. And I
Yeah.
think another thing is, I I don't know what the health insurance, looked like in the 2000s and the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
but I think health insurance became really popular, or like, okay, we need health insurance. It has to happen. It wasn't the best health insurance plan, but it was when, Obama was in and they made the Affordable
The
Care
Affordable
Act.
Care Act. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh, you have to get health care or we're going to take it out of your taxes. You're going to get a penalty. And so people started getting health care more often.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started caring about our health. Millennials really care about their health a lot more than, our parents did, Gen X, the boomers. We're like getting these nutritionists and these dietitians and we're working out more often. And we're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how do I get to a point that I'm going to be healthy enough to, get to my golden years and not feel like crap all the time, like our parents are
Mm-hmm.
feeling? But how can I afford that?
Right. Yeah. How
Like
can I afford these things that I might need to maintain a
a
healthiness
healthier,
for me?
mm,
Right. Because healthy is different for everybody.
right,
But yeah, how can I maintain a healthiness for me and afford it, right?
right.
Maybe. So yeah, no, it's
And
wild. It's
yeah,
wild that
and it's
we don't talk about it, I think, as much. Instead, we all just sit around and we talk about, we make it almost, I mean, it is political, but the conversations that we are having about it are the wrong ones. Like,
yeah.
it is what it is. Right now, this is
Mhm.
what we have as our system. So can we teach people how to navigate it?
Yeah.
So that they can figure out the plan for the healthy option that works for them within their
Mhm.
budget. And if that's not the same for you, fine.
Fine, that's okay. But
Just fine.
I think it's also like being able to ask the right questions too,
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's not
For
like we're
sure.
taught this in our early 20s and they're like, okay, here's the list of questions you should be asking your insurer or your
Mhm.
employer or your financial advisor. We always have to like suffer our way through like
Mhm.
10 years of crap. And we're like, okay, I think I finally kind of understand this system. But,
Mhm.
you go through so long not understanding or knowing how to ask the right questions.
I
So,
think it's interesting because I think money, like even conversations about salary, benefits, things like that, it's something we talk about a lot, but it's also a taboo topic. I think.
hmm
And we're just like you said, like we're not maybe having the right kinds of conversations about it because we don't know the questions to ask, or because we might have questions about more personal types of things. We don't ask them, and then like when we get our packages, when we get our information about like open enrollment or whatever, they give us this packet and they're like, "It's open enrollment. You have the next week to decide." But when you're in a position where like there's hundreds of employees and you're all trying to sign up for benefits, the people who are helping you navigate, is this the right choice for me? They're never available to answer
hmm
those questions.
hmm
So everybody just says, "Well, I'm just going to base it on what I can afford and hope that it fits my needs.
yeah.
Hope that
Yeah.
it works."
Or you just end up not utilizing it, and
Yeah.
you're stuck with this payment that's just going to keep
Mhm.
coming out, and you're like, well, that sucks. Here goes a couple $100.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think asking those right questions and really trying to understand, okay, if I do come to an interview with these questions, like, is that gonna impede me from getting this
Yeah.
job? Am I
Yeah.
asking too many questions about what they're doing internally?
Mhm.
So, how do I frame that in such a way that is, one, giving me information that I need to make a
Mhm.
decision, but two, also doesn't ruin my chances of getting this job because I'm like, well,
For sure.
how's your healthcare
Mhm.
benefits, you know? And
Mhm.
I think even me thinking about that and going through all the interviews that I did, I think I rarely asked about benefits. I mean, I knew they were like, well, it's standard, you get your X amount of vacation.
Yeah,
I'm always asking about vacation. Okay, how's my
of
PTO
course.
looking?
Of course.
What does a 40,
Do we
what
get
does
time off?
Yes, that what does my work week look like? Am I working weekends? And yeah, and am I going to have to pay for mileage? What does mileage look like? You're thinking, like you said, at the present and not really thinking about what your future is going to look like in this company. So, yeah, I think I would love to dive in and see, okay, well, what do employers really think about when people start asking those types of questions,
Mhm.
right? So,
No, I think for sure. I feel like I do after, I mean, really, after you and I went through our traumatic experience in the workplace, I think I have gotten better about asking some of those internal questions in the interviews. I don't know. Some people might think it's me kind of being cocky, but sometimes I go into it like, look, I already know I can do the job. I already know that I'm qualified to do the job. I don't need you to tell me about the importance of teamwork. I already know that. I want to know if your company is a good fit for me. Like I think when we had Taylor on the show, we even talked a little bit about like it should be an equal opportunity. Like they're not just interviewing you, you're also interviewing them to ensure that
mhm,
they can fit your needs. And I think your financial stability and those perks that they may offer to that.
yeah.
So, thinking about perks, is there a workplace perk that you used to think was kind of like a, please do not tell me about this, but now you kind of appreciate it?
I think that matching my 401k,
Oh, yeah.
there are a lot of people or a lot of companies, a lot of businesses that don't match.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when I was younger, I'm like, it's fine. I'm just going to put money into this thing. It's fine. I got
Mhm.
time. I got time. And now I'm 35 and I'm like, oh shit, I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
And nobody's helping me. Yeah, because you hear
Mhm.
about the competitiveness and like people who stick
Mhm.
with their companies for 10 years and they're like, well, I get, 30, 40%, 35% matching. And I'm like, holy moly macaroni. I'm just trying to stick with my job.
Mhm.
And so, and there's a lot of companies that have, restrictions. You don't have access to the matching until you're with the company for 2 years. And I'm like, well, if your turnover is averaging 2 to 3 years, then nobody's reaping the benefits for your matching. And
Mhm.
so having a company that has really awesome matching benefits or a great education on like financial stability. You know, I know that federal jobs are not hot anymore, but you know, that was one of the perks of federal jobs is that they would offer you awesome retirement with great yields. You know, you're getting the
Mm-hmm.
return. And they
Mm-hmm.
offer like savings accounts that have
Yeah.
high yields back. And those are the savings accounts that you don't, you know, yes, you have like some penalties, but they're giving you a large return each year, so you're able to utilize them. So having like resources like that, I wish I would have taken advantage of in my youth and like learned how to roll them over and learn how
Yeah.
to plan it a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah, and lastly, like having access to a financial advisor that I
Yeah.
trust,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish I would have taken. What about you?
That's a good one. I wish I
Mhm.
had thought of it because you're so everything you said is so correct. Like it's one that I remember I did work for a company early on that did it, and I was just kind of like, yeah, 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 whatever about it. And now I'm like, what? No match? You don't have a match program?
What
But
do you mean?
I think one that I'm seeing pop up a little bit more that I think previously I was like about it, and now I'm kind of like, what does this actually mean? I'm seeing more and more companies offer access to like legal
Mm. Mhm.
benefits, and it's not just necessarily like certain, like, yeah, it's only for certain things, but it's not all like workplace stuff. So, like, it's legal support that can help people get documents in order, like even just getting a will
Mhm.
in place.
Power
And
of
I know
attorney.
power of attorney, and like that's a lot of stuff that people don't think about. And then, something catastrophic happens and they don't have all of these documents in place. And so I'm seeing companies offer that like you pay a certain amount every month and you have access to like free legal advice or legal support. It's one that I maybe haven't utilized to the full capacity when I have it, but it's one that I think I'm coming to appreciate a little bit more, especially as I'm navigating like having relatives that are aging and realizing that they may not have the documents they need. And yeah, I think that's one of those sort of benefits that a lot of people just don't have access to because that's a cost.
Mhm.
And so being able to access even some kind of legal support through your workplace, I think is one that I guess gets underappreciated, but I personally am coming to appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz usually it's like and it's I have seen plans that aren't super expensive, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, you know, they you have it depends on what kind of like access you want. And it's like, okay, well, you get X amount of hours of consultation and you can call between this time. And then it's like on the higher level, it's like, well, you get 24-hour access. You know, if you have an emergency or something, you have the ability to call them. So having and like as we've gotten older, we're like, you know, you think of situations of when you were younger and you're like, dang, I wish I would have had a lawyer.
Mm,
If I would have had a lawyer, it would have saved me time and money and maybe from being exploited, right?
mm-hmm.
So, you know, really considering, okay, where is my life at? Am I going to need something like this? You know, have I thought
Mm-hmm.
about a will? Have I thought about power
Mm-hmm.
of attorney? Do I have health issues that
Yeah.
I need someone to take care of? What
Mm-hmm.
do they call that? When you go to the hospital, someone has
Yeah,
the
like
ability to help you make decisions. Yeah.
the medical power of attorney.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and you don't really think about those things until you
Mm.
have access to them, right?
Right. Yeah, no.
Like, you don't really think about having a lawyer until you're in a crisis and you're like, oh,
Right.
shit, I need a
It would
lawyer,
have been
you
nice
know?
to have a lawyer. Yeah. I think the other thing, just for me, right? So me and my wife have actually been talking about this a little bit, like just with current events. Like, yes, we're legally married and all of that stuff. And so you would think that like by default, because we're legally married, that I would automatically kind of have some of those rights if something happened. But we're also in a time that like even though it's the law of the land still, people could fight it
Yep.
and win because they don't agree with our marriage or whatever. And so we've even just been talking about it like we want to make sure that we have a will that stipulates you. I was like, can I just like write on a piece of paper if something happens to me, you get everything signed,
Right.
dated.
Here you go. Sign
And
date,
then
get it notarized.
the the example I even used was like I don't even think it has to be notarized. I was thinking about I don't know if you remember years ago Aretha Franklin when she passed. there was a will on record that like stipulated one thing. Well, then a few years later, they found a will like tucked away in her couch or something that was different from whatever the official one
Wow.
was. And the court system upheld the one that they found in the couch because they were able to confirm it was in her handwriting. And it wasn't even
Wow.
notarized. It was just she changed her, and so they honored it. And I guess it gave the kids a little bit more than what the original one had stipulated. So and I was like, I don't even think it has to be notarized. You just have to confirm that it was me that wrote it.
Put a drop
Yeah.
of blood.
Put my DNA on.
I confirm this. Yep.
But like, so these are things, and like, if something happened to one of us and we were in the hospital,
Mm-hmm. Like there could be times where, there've been plenty of times that, if you're gay or you have a same-sex spouse, they may not trust you, right?
Yeah.
In the hospital setting. And it sucks but it does happen probably a little too often. And in that moment, if you don't have legal representation, like you can't go back in time and fix that moment.
Yeah.
And so having that protection is
or even people who have opted not to be married, but they have a long-term partner. That partner doesn't have rights unless there's some sort of documentation that says this is the person that I want making decisions for me. And just a lot of people don't have access to that.
Right.
And so it's tough.
Yeah. And I think that that's like also another, as we're talking about it, access is that word that just keeps popping up in my head. Because if you're working like an hourly job, what a lot of us do, we work hourly and we're having to balance our hours, make sure we're staying full time and we're going from employer to employer. You don't really have the time to like go off on your own and research this all by yourself. Usually you get this information and all this education through your employer because it's not something you learn in college. It's not something you learn in high school. Hopefully your parents had the ability to teach you, but there's a good chance they're in the same bucket you are, right? So it's just not understanding this information and having access to it early on and knowing how to have those right questions. And because I feel like now, the benefits world, it's like, I'm going to make a metaphor, but it's like you're going into this giant shopping center and it's like, well, we have all these packages and this is your healthcare packages that you can choose from these hundreds of plans and hundreds of like different insurance companies. Good luck.
It is. Yeah.
The flavor is all barbecue, but it's going to taste a little
like
different.
In network, out of network. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. And people think of it in terms of like location even. So they're like, well, my doctor is just right up the road. And your insurance goes, they're out of network.
Yeah.
You're like, what do you mean? They're right up the road from me.
So
and I think, yeah,
it's crazy because it's just, you just have all this to choose from and you're just trying to choose the best fit for you in that moment. And then you get stuck with that high deductible or someone that doesn't take your doctor. And I think that, obviously we can all agree that this system is a mess, but there's got to be a way to navigate it.
Of course.
I
think also we tend to, and we kind of said this earlier, but I think we prioritize career success on salaries, right? So we say, yeah, this job is great because you're going to be making $70,000 a year. But then it's like, okay, well, what comes with that $70,000? Like so those questions that we were talking about earlier, like what do the benefits look like? How much time off do I get? Is it $70,000 and I only get 2 PTO days? Is that worth it? Like, what are some of the extra things built into that? And is it worth it? Or is there a job that might pay a little bit less than that has better overall perks, compensation, I guess?
Really get a bang for your buck.
Right,
like, what is this compensate? Like, what is really going to be the trade-off for me providing you my life juice?
My life.
So that you can get a profit. What can what do I get in exchange? And
so kind of this was a great chat, but kind of bringing it to a little bit of a close. Is there one benefit that you feel like every company should provide? Or like if you could add one benefit to every company, what would it be and why?
I think the best plans I've seen are the ones where your portion for healthcare is like little to nothing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's a good plan. It's a good plan. It covers well. It's affordable. The deductibles are affordable and your piece of it is affordable.
Mhm.
Because whenever you're working for a company, for whatever, like I said, you're giving your life juice, right? You're giving your time, your physical, like if you're lifting, you're working in a warehouse, if you're using your brain, your stress, your body, like you're using a portion of your life to work for this company. And in order for me to stay healthy, I need to have access to doctors and prescriptions and
Mhm.
life planning, not just like, oh, let
Mhm.
me just take care of my health right now, but like, what is my health going to look like 20 years from now when I'm done working for you?
Mhm.
And I don't need to have $1,000 out of my monthly salary going to invest in myself when you should be investing in me, and
Mhm.
that's just my
Mhm.
thought because we've created this work society where we are being asked to give everything.
We are. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
time away from our kids, whatever that exchange and that sacrifice looks like for each individual person, I think
Mhm.
looks different, but it's still something, right?
Mhm.
So I think, the best plans I've seen is like an employer that really gives a crap about what type of insurance they're providing, how much it's costing even their lower
Mhm.
totem employees,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And that it's a good plan
Mhm.
because that is the system we live in, right?
Mhm. No, I
But
like
that
that.
mm,
I like that. And I think what I'm going to say, it's hard to just pick one.
I know.
Like there's so many things, but what I'm going to say kind of I think ties into that a little bit, and it's one that I saw working in a nonprofit even. So sometimes in order for companies to, be able to cover a lot of costs, it's more expensive for them up
Right.
front. Well, this particular agency I worked for had found a way, it was a special grant, and they had found a way to basically help them with that fee to make it more affordable for their employees by basically saying, well, we're going to get every employee a Fitbit and we're going to track our steps or whatever. And so it was basically like they were saying, we're going to show that we're prioritizing healthiness amongst our employees, and it helped them basically lower the costs of the insurance. Now, that's just one example, but I think if companies had some sort of, I don't know if it's like an app or a program that just prioritize personal healthiness, like where you,
Mhm.
because not, here's the thing, people are healthy, sometimes they only go into the doctor once a year and they're
Mhm.
not they're not really needing all of that insurance stuff the way
Yeah.
that other people do.
Mhm.
But I know one thing that they might struggle with is like, well, I really want to make sure I continue to stay healthy. So, like, getting them maybe a free membership to a gym
Mhm.
or finding some sort of partnership with mental health providers where it's
Mm,
not just the EAP service, but
mhm.
like
True
certain,
mental health.
yeah, true mental health therapy providers, access to a local rec center, anything that they can do where they're,
Nutritionists.
yeah, nutrition,
Mhm.
anything that like employees can access these things either for free or at like a discounted rate, that like I can do things to maintain my health on my own so that when I do go to the doctor, they're not like, my gosh, you have high
You're
blood pressure
dying
because you're so stressed out, right? Because that, I mean,
because
a
you
lot
can't
of
take care of
people,
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
because people are overworking themselves. They're not taking days off.
They're
Even
eating
if they
bad
have
because
them,
it's
they're
cheap
eating bad
and
because it's
fast.
cheap and
Mhm.
fast. And people are like, I know I probably should go to the gym, but I don't want to pay for a gym membership.
Yeah, and gym memberships are expensive. Like the good
Right.
ones, they're like
And
$100.
and y'all, we live in Texas. Like me going for a run in my neighborhood is unrealistic because it's 1,000,000 degrees outside.
I'm not. No.
So I don't know. I think if companies found creative ways to provide like a healthy living benefit
Mhm.
that didn't necessarily tie directly into like insurance and stuff, but it was still a perk that because you were working for them, we want to help you prioritize your wellness
Mhm.
so that you can reduce the stress in your life that we know this job is going to bring.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and then they stay healthier longer. They're
Yeah,
less stressed.
they're more
They
productive.
feel valued. and then you get your profit. I'm going to give a hot take. Yes, I have another one. This, I think, wrapped up in my healthcare bit, but dental healthcare is ridiculously expensive. Everyone knows this, right? Everyone freaking hates the dentist. I get it. I hate the dentist, but we need our teeth. We need to eat, right? And taking care of our teeth and taking care of our oral health is like bottom of the freaking like list when we're looking at our health until it starts hurting, right? And but dental insurance is, it can be affordable sometimes, but then when you go into the office, it's like $1 million to get your stuff done, and you're like, what the hell is this even happening? Like,
Well, it's
dental
affordable.
insurance
It's
sucks.
affordable for like the basic stuff, but
Right.
if you're someone that needs like those more expensive things like a root canal or a filling or things like, that's when it adds up, I think.
Yeah, so affordable dental care, I think, is would be really helpful, but
Just affordable living. We just want to be able to live
please, that's all I'm asking.
and not go broke doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait because, Maddie, I think we should have someone on to kind of give us the lowdown, maybe give us some insight, different, giving us those right questions, right? And thinking about like maybe what they're thinking on the back end. So we can start advocating for ourselves because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Let's continue this conversation for sure, because there's so much more we could talk about in terms of financial stability and our jobs. And y'all, it does contribute to your overall health, right? If you are feeling more secure financially, you're going to feel better physically, mentally, all of that. So I think they're important conversations to have. All right, but y'all, I'm out of coffee.
Same.
So that is our cue to wrap up. But I'm really glad we dove into this chat today, Meaghan. It was kind of refreshing, kind of just chatting about some of the frustrations I've been feeling even.
Yes. Because they hand you that. Also, they hand you like a 50-page employee workbook.
Oh my gosh, like I'm not gonna read this.
I actually read it. I do.
I actually do prefer when those are digital because it's easier for me to be like, I have a question about this. Let me find
Yeah,
it.
Control F. Let me see.
Yeah.
No, I read because I'm like, I'm like taking notes in the margin. I'm like, okay, they're gonna try and screw me on this. They're gonna try and screw me on that. But like you said, a lot of people don't read them and they skim through them. But it was good. It was good. I'm glad we had this conversation. I think it's something we don't really talk about until we already have the job like we do.
Right.
And then we're like, okay, this is what we got.
Right, for sure. But listeners, if you loved this chat and you found yourself even thinking about more talking points, feel free to share those with us because, like I said, we're going to continue this conversation and we would love to ask the questions that you want to know. Thank you all for joining us today, and be sure to subscribe if you have not already.
Be sure you stay connected with us on our socials. Let's continue the conversation. We'd love to hear your questions you have or your experience navigating the workplace.
Absolutely, y'all. We love social media. You can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Patreon. And of course, be sure to check out the show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple so that you can continue listening to us. We always hope that you will continue to join us for Not a Lonely Coffee Break. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, queers.